The salt-heavy air of the Arabian Sea hits you first, a thick wall of 90% humidity that clings to your skin before you even leave the tarmac. It is a scent composed of drying fish, diesel fumes, and the ozone tang of an approaching monsoon storm, swirling together in the heat of the tropical sun. Beneath the cacophony of 20 million voices, the ground itself seems to vibrate with a restless, frantic energy that defies the laws of urban planning. This land was never meant to support a megacity. If you could travel back 400 years, standing on this exact spot would mean drowning in the shark-infested waters of a tidal creek. Nature intended for this geography to be an archipelago, not a peninsula. The map of modern Mumbai is a lie constructed from stone and ambition. Before the concrete mixers worked 24/7 to erect the glittering towers of the financial district, there was no single landmass here. There were 7 separate, jagged islands jutting out of the violently churning sea. The indigenous Koli fishermen, whose descendants still mend their bright orange nets in the harbors today, navigated their wooden boats through the treacherous swamps that divided the Isles of Bombay, Colaba, Old Woman's Island, Mahim, Mazagaon, Peril, and Worli. These islands were fever-ridden, overgrown with coconut palms, and separated by tidal breaches that filled with rushing seawater twice a day. The geography was hostile. For over a century, the Portuguese held these islands, seeing them merely as a strategic outpost rather than a future metropolis. They built small forts and churches, but the muddy flats remained unconquered. The destiny of the islands shifted forever in 1661, not through war but through a wedding contract. When Princess Catherine of Braganza married King Charles II of England, the 7 islands were handed over as part of her massive dowry. The British Crown, initially unimpressed by the swampy acquisition, rented the entire archipelago to the East India Company for a pitiful sum of £10 of gold per year. It was a real estate deal that would eventually birth the financial capital of India. The early governors faced a nightmare of geography. The islands were disconnected, making trade difficult and defense impossible. At high tide, the sea would rush through the Great Breach between Worli and sparsely populated Peril, turning the low-lying lands into a stagnant malarial swamp. Many engineers declared the site hopeless. Governor William Hornby disagreed. In the late 18th century, Hornby looked at the violent tides flooding the central flats and decided to wage war against the ocean itself. He proposed a massive embankment to seal the Great Breach, a project so expensive and risky that the East India Company directors in London explicitly forbade it. Hornby ignored them. In a brazen act of insubordination, he ordered the construction of the Hornby Vellard, a massive seawall that would plug the gap and fuse the islands. Thousands of workers hauled rocks and earth by hand, battling the tides that threatened to wash away their progress every night. By the time his term ended in 1784, the wall stood firm. The sea was locked out. This illegal wall changed history. With the breach sealed, the low-lying swamps began to dry out, creating vast new tracts of reclaimable land. This was the first step in a centuries-long engineering crusade to stitch the 7 islands into a single, solid landmass. Throughout the 19th century, the city began to devour its own hills to fill the sea. The soaring cliffs of Mazagaon were blasted with dynamite, and the rubble was carted down to fill the creeks. You can still see the scars of this earth-moving violence if you look closely at the cliff sides near the harbor. By 1845, the 7 islands had effectively vanished, merged into a unified promontory by a web of causeways and reclaimed flats. Then came the American Civil War. It seems unrelated, but the conflict halfway across the globe cut off the supply of American cotton to British textile mills. Panic struck the markets of Liverpool and Manchester. Desperate for raw material, the British Empire turned to the black soil plains of the Indian interior. Mumbai became the global funnel for cotton. Money poured into the city like a tidal wave. During the frenzied years of the 1860s, the cotton mania transformed a trading post into the Urbs Prima in Indus, the first city of India. Merchants became millionaires overnight. To reflect this new wealth, the British administration launched an architectural revolution. They didn't just want warehouses, they wanted imperial grandeur. Sir Bartle Frere, the governor at the time, ordered the destruction of the old fort walls to make way for a new, magnificent city center. The result was a skyline of Victorian Gothic revival architecture that rivals London itself. The crown jewel of this era is the C.H. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Terminus, formerly Victoria Terminus. Designed by the obsessively detailed architect Frederick William Stevens, the station took 10 years to build. Stevens blended high Venetian Gothic with traditional Indian palace architecture, creating a stone fantasy of domes, turrets, and pointed arches. It is a building that breathes. High above the street, gargoyles shaped like peacocks and tigers stare down at the commuters, while the massive central dome serves as a lighthouse for the railway network. Inside the station, the chaos is organized. The suburban railway network of Mumbai is perhaps the most intense pressure test of public infrastructure anywhere on Earth. Locally known as the local trains, these steel serpents carry over 7 million passengers every single day. That is the entire population of Switzerland moving through one city every 24 hours. During peak hours, the trains operate at what engineers call a super-dense crush load. a clinical term meaning 16 people are standing in every square meter of floor space. To the outsider, it looks like madness. To the Mumbaiker, it is a rhythmic, synchronized dance of survival. Yet, the city's efficiency is not just in its machines, but in its people. Consider the Dabawalas, a delivery network that has baffled Harvard business professors with its accuracy. Every morning, 5,000 men in white Gandhi caps collect hot lunch boxes from homes across the sprawling suburbs. Using a complex coding system of colors and symbols painted on the tin lids, never digital barcodes, they sort and route these meals through the chaotic railway network to offices in the city center. They make fewer than one mistake for every 6 million deliveries. This human algorithm operates without batteries or satellites, relying entirely on the synchronized movement of trains, bicycles, and handcarts. It is a hidden layer of logistics that keeps the corporate engine of Mumbai fueled. Beneath the pavement, another secret world exists. The Victorian sewer system, laid out by engineers like William Lindley in the late 19th century, still functions today, carrying the waste of a population 10 times larger than it was designed for. These brick-lined tunnels are so large in places that you could drive a small car through them. But they are struggling. The city's rapid expansion has outpaced its subterranean arteries. In some historical districts, utility workers still rely on hand-drawn maps from the colonial era to locate valves and junctions, a fragile link between the 19th and 21st centuries. In 2016, the hidden history of the city surfaced quite literally. During a restoration of Raj Bhavan, the governor's estate, staff stumbled upon a hollow sound behind a sealed wall. They broke through the masonry to discover a massive, forgotten underground bunker from the British era. The 15,000-square-foot warren included 13 rooms, shell storage, and ventilation shafts, untouched for decades. It was a stark reminder that beneath the bustling modern surface, the military DNA of the colonial fortress remains intact, waiting to be rediscovered. Today, the transformation of Mumbai has shifted from reclamation to verticality. Space is the most expensive commodity in India. In neighborhoods like Malabar Hill and Cuff Parade, real estate prices rival those of Manhattan or Tokyo. The skyline is a jagged bar graph of economic disparity. You can see the 27-story residence of billionaire Mukesh Ambani, a private skyscraper that requires a staff of 600 to maintain. Just a few miles away lies Dharavi, one of the world's most densely populated settlements where 1 million people live and work in a maze of narrow alleyways. Yet calling Dharavi a slum misses the point. It is an economic powerhouse in its own right, an industrial hub with an annual turnover of $1 billion, recycling the city's plastic and producing leather goods that end up in European boutiques. The city is now trying to conquer the sea once again. For decades, the western coast was a traffic nightmare. The solution was an engineering marvel, the Bandra-Worli Sea Link. This 8-lane bridge spans the open ocean, connecting the suburbs to the city center. Its construction was a battle against nature. Engineers had to anchor the massive cable-stayed pylons into a seabed of volcanic basalt that shattered drill bits. They poured enough concrete to build a path from Mumbai to London. The steel cables that hold up the bridge, if laid end-to-end, would wrap around the circumference of the Earth. Drone flying through clouds reveals the next phase. The Sea Link was just the beginning. Currently, the Mumbai Coastal Road project is carving a new artery along the western shoreline. This is not just a road, it is a reshaping of the island's edge. Massive tunnel boring machines, the largest ever used in India, are digging beneath Malabar Hill and the historic Gurgaon Chowpatty beach. These subterranean giants are chewing through rock to create tunnels that will hide traffic underground, leaving the coastline open for green parks and promenades. It is a project that echoes the ambition of William Hornby, reclaiming land and defying the ocean to keep the city moving. On the eastern side, the Mumbai Trans-Harbour Link has just redrawn the map again. This 22-kilometer steel bridge, the longest in India, flies over the mudflats and flamingos of the Thane Creek, connecting the island city to the mainland at unparalleled speeds. It is a desperate concrete lung designed to let the congested city breathe, opening up the hinterlands for expansion. From a helicopter aerial over the city, these bridges look like surgical stitches, binding the fractured geography together with steel and asphalt. The challenges, however, are mounting. Climate change poses an existential threat to this reclaimed peninsula. Rising sea levels are trying to reclaim the land that Hornby and his successors stole from the ocean. The monsoon rains are becoming more erratic and violent. In 2005, a deluge dropped nearly a meter of rain in 24 hours, paralyzing the metropolis and turning highways into rivers. The city is now racing to upgrade its storm water pumping stations, mammoth engines capable of pushing thousands of liters of water back into the sea every second. Yet, despite the floods, the crush of the crowds, and the impossible humidity, Mumbai endures. It is a city built on the refusal to accept geographical limits. Every square inch of dry ground here is a victory of engineering over nature. From the original 7 swampy islands to the soaring skyscrapers of the 21st century, the story of Mumbai is one of constant, relentless metamorphosis. It is a place where a colonial railway station looks like a cathedral, where lunch boxes are delivered with Six Sigma precision, and where the poorest neighborhoods recycle the waste of the richest. As the sun sets over the Arabian Sea, casting a golden glow on the Queen's Necklace at Marine Drive, the city does not sleep. The headlights stream along the curved boulevard like a river of liquid light. The construction cranes remain active, their warning lights blinking in the haze, building the next layer of history on top of the old. Mumbai is not just a city, it is a machine for living, a testament to the sheer, stubborn will of humanity to build a home where there was once only water.